of Jackson College, Dr. Dan Phelan. Hi, Dan.
Hi, Bart. How are you?
Good to see you again.
Good to see you, too.
Now, you probably know these terms, lean-to, hip barn, hoop house.
Yes, we use those in Iowa.
Yes, as farm terms.
Yes, absolutely.
Did you get to the Iowa State Fair this summer?
Actually, it has yet to be held. I think it's the August 10th through the 20th I think, this year.
Well, it seems like you'd be too busy this summer to
Yes, yes, a bit busy. It's probably only 40% likely that I would get back this year.
Well, it's, as we've said, busy summer because you've had ribbon cuttings and all kinds of exciting things happening at the college. And today we're going to talk about some of those.
Yes.
But first up, let's talk about what's happening today.
Yes.
It's Michigan Project Reconnect.
Yes. So Reconnect is actually an enhancement of what was established a couple of years ago. In the governor's budget, which came out not long ago, actually there's an expansion of Reconnect, and as you said at the beginning of your program, it has gone down from age 25 to 21 for a finite period of time. This program is designed for those individuals who do not currently possess a degree, and no matter how many credits they have accrued, they're able to come to the community college and to be able to take courses with us without regard to cost of tuition and fees, and it also helps with books and things like that. So as you know, this is part of the programming that we braided into Jackson College Advantage rather, designed to be able to provide a very low cost experience for students to come to our institution. So as you recall, we declared that for any individual who has an income, a combined family income of $75,000 or less, through various sources, including our own foundation and the college, we would be able to provide for them the opportunity to enroll full-time for students who are coming out, who graduated this spring, and come to our institution without cost on tuition and fees.
Yeah, so essentially for many, free college.
Yes, for many, you know, the truth of the matter is, and it often gets lost in translation, is that there are lots of just life costs that are associated with it. In fact, I had a conversation with Lieutenant Governor last week, as a matter of fact, and I was saying, you know, I appreciate these programs coming forward like Reconnect and others, but the fact of the matter is, even if tuition and fees are paid, there are still many other costs that people have. You know, the cost of gasoline, the mortgage, the child care, those kinds of things. And I really asked the Lieutenant Governor and the administration to think about how can we have first dollar coverage rather than last dollar coverage. And that's important because if it's first dollar, then those dollars that they would normally get through the Pell funding, which is available if they complete the FAFSA form, that could actually pay for some of those life costs. And so I would really encourage, as part of the administration's effort in the creation of the new Department of Education, that we think about very strategically about how we can get more Michiganders to go to college by seeing the whole experience. So what is it from tuition, fees, books, but also, you know, putting gas in the tank and fixing that battery that's about ready to die, and the child care. And the reality is that many students that might have 2 or 3 jobs, and they're having to keep those jobs in order to pay those bills. And so even though the tuition and fees are covered, they cannot have a job and provide for these life expenses. So we really need to see the full student experience and make sure that we think fully with regard to all costs associated with what the student needs to be able to go and get that degree.
Well, I know one of the things that you hosted Lieutenant Governor Gilchrist on campus last year.
Yes.
And I know you've had many conversations with him and the governor, and it sounds like there is some attention now that is going to be focused on community colleges, and I think that's part of what the new education department will be responsible for. And until this summer, there's been no really state support of community colleges, unlike the rest of the country.
You know, it's been kind of a smorgasbord of various activities that are out there, and that's what I mentioned to Lieutenant Governor Gilchrist, is that we've just got lots of things that are out there, but they don't seem to be coordinated. And I remember having a conversation last fall, actually, with Sarah Anthony, a legislator from up in the Lansing area, who's got a very responsible position, and then also the governor's staff, and just saying we've got to think more fulsomely about what all this is. And so, you know, we have Michigan Reconnect here, and, you know, funding for frontliners, you know, and then we have Michigan Hope Scholarship. I mean, we've got all kinds of things just kind of swirling around. And some of them connect and some of them don't. And so what I'm excited about with the governor's reorganization and really her executive order to create this kind of new MyLeap program, which is really focused on K through 12 through the university, that whole spectrum, to be able to get, I hope, business leaders and higher education leaders and K through 12 leaders and government to say, let's kind of think strategically and intentionally about what is it we want to get done. And then what's the best way to do that? So rather than for the quick win on this particular scholarship and then later we have another grant that's here and we do that, we have to stitch these all together so they make sense to educators, let alone to parents and students. So we've got to make that abundantly clear. And as I said earlier, we need to really think about the full lived experience of a student, because most people don't really think about that. They think, oh, tuition fees, life's good. But for so many people, especially first generation students and those who are living below a federal poverty level, these are difficult problems to surmount, and I think that if we as a state think about all of this and its interconnectedness, then I think we're going to more easily get to the governor's goal of 60 by 30, making sure that 60% of the population has some kind of a post-secondary credential by 2030. And I think it's very achievable. And frankly, I'm glad that she did this work. I've been trying, working with our local school superintendents, for example, to be able to utilize a program called ARC, or the Alternative Route Credential, to provide individuals who have a baccalaureate degree. They would take about 5 classes from us, and they'd be immediately able to go in and teach in the K through 12 system. But there's a lot of challenge related to the Department of Education, and for 3 or 4 years I've been trying to get that done and still haven't been able to. So I'm hopeful that with the changes that she's made with the creation of MyLeap, pulling in some of these other elements, including 60 by 30 and other programs, that we might have a better pathway for things like the ARC credential, clearer pathways for students with regard to the financial aid, but also other things too, like having junior standing for an individual who has an associate's degree from my institution, that they should be a junior standing level when they enter the University of Michigan, for example. So rather than debating credits and those kinds of things, we've got a lot of that already sorted out. So let's just say what's best for the student. And once you've got your 60 semester credit hours, and we're accredited by the Higher Learning Commission, Michigan and other institutions are accredited by the same institution. So we're going to call them juniors when they show up, rather than say, no, you've got to take this course over. We don't like this one. Let's just kind of all work together for the best interests of students and for Michiganders generally, and for the state more particularly.
Yeah, and they've had 3 years in many cases of campus life at JC, so it's their 4th year they're a senior.
Yes, yes.
The Advantage, Jackson College Advantage, that's something you announced last month.
Yes.
Which does provide, as you mentioned, potentially free college for a pretty large percentage of the population of Jackson County.
The secret of it is trying to get individuals and their families to complete the financial aid form, the FAFSA. This is an important vehicle for them to be able to determine where the money is going to be used. How can it pay for tuition fees? What can be used for with regard to travel costs and books and those kinds of things. That's all incredibly important, but so many don't want to take the time to fill that out. I will happily say that due to some great improvements at the federal level, the number of pages required to complete the federal financial aid program application has actually been reduced significantly. So it's a lot easier than it used to be. And of course, getting that information and finding out what family income is helps us to determine what we can bring to bear for the student. And that's really an important consideration. For so many students, Bart, they're just leaving money on the table because they don't take the time, or they have other concerns. But federally, I serve on a national board, and we talk about the fact that we have some 30–40% of the students who come to our institutions don't take the time to fill out FAFSA and would qualify, yes.
Wow. Well, they need to change the name of the form to something people can pronounce.
Something easier. Free money program, something.
Yeah. Also, at the same event of the announcement of Jackson College Advantage, it was the ribbon cutting and unveiling of the new Jets Athletic Complex. And this is unbelievable, and I understand that we've had all kinds of use, even though school's out, all kinds of tournaments and other organizations using the new fields.
Absolutely, and some things you wouldn't expect, like balloons landing,
Actually,
leading up to the balloon jubilee. So
you brought some photos. You saw
Yes.
some of the balloons last
yeah,
night.
yeah. Last night I was in the wickware house. I had the window open. It was like nice, and all of a sudden I started hearing, and I thought, I know that sound. And I went outside, and here was just a battalion of these balloons moving across the wickwire property and headed over to campus. And I called our director of security and I said, "You're about to have an invasion." But they were beautiful. It was a nice part of the evening. And you know, the really nice thing about this, Bart, is, as you know, about 25 years or so ago, the Hot Air Jubilee used to be beginning at Jackson College, and it would launch. Of course, we had a lot fewer buildings, a lot more ground, but they could actually launch from our campus, and then they would head into town. So it was really nod to history that we had some taking off earlier in the week, and then last night, as I mentioned, we had quite a few landing on campus. So it was just a really neat experience. And as I watched all these cars coming by the house, you had the balloon chasers, you know, the team that supports the ballooners. And then you also have all these looky-loos coming along, parking on the side of the road and seeing how that'll work. So it's very nice that we can provide that service for people.
Yeah, it's neat. They might be back.
Yeah.
And what a huge campus.
Yes.
I know you love it when people are out there
Yes.
because it's constantly changing.
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking about it's a great day to be a Jets open house.
Yes.
The large number of people that had never set foot on the campus.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them were from like Chelsea and Adrian and Hillsdale, but there's quite a few Jackson people that haven't been on
There's
campus.
two. Yeah, that's right. You know, and I'm hoping that what we're doing is becoming more relevant, so people want to go out and see what's out there. So whether it's the new ball fields, where we could even have night play for the first time, we have lighted baseball and softball fields, but also inviting teams within the community, you know, leagues to come out and small youth groups as well. But also coming out to engage in the Easter egg hunt or the spooktacular at Halloween, or you know, leading up to the Hot Air Jubilee. Just lots of events that we have going on to create an opportunity for people to come out and just experience their community college, and providing more programs and services that connect with more of the community. That's important. But I always say to people when I get a chance to be in front of them, come out and see, you know, the new Jackson College, and you won't believe what you're seeing. And it's changing right now, including right now the construction of an astronomical observatory. So as we're studying more about space in the future and what that can mean, so that telescope is going to be put in later in the month, I think on the 27th. And then we're also putting what we call a Jets Air Station, which is under construction right now. They're putting the footings in. So this will be a large enclosed space in one of what they call bubble buildings sometimes, but essentially an air-supported structure. We'll have space in there for walking tracks and pickleball and softball and basketball, volleyball, all those kinds of things. So we're constantly evolving and trying to meet the needs of the community, which we're listening to all the time, and bring these programs and services to bear.
So the pickleball people got to you, huh?
Actually, my wife got to me. She loves, and our youngest daughter, they actually love playing pickleball. I actually went and played a few times. It's just not for me, but I can see the excitement around it. It's maybe an easier approach to tennis, perhaps, but it's really quite fun.
Yeah, and very popular.
Yes, yes.
And the last big announcement you had was just, I think about a week or so ago, the partnership with Grand Valley State University.
Oh, yes. Oh, we're so excited about that. Being able to work with President Mantella and to talk about the kind of institution that we wanted to cajole, so to speak, to be able to provide a clear pathway for students to move from their RN degree to the BSN. This was made possible through some legislation that we have been working on for about 14 years. It actually provides for a minimum of a 5-year agreement, so we know that they'll be with us for at least this long, to provide this way to be able to serve students who want to work at a magnet hospital, which requires a baccalaureate of science in nursing. But also I talked to President Mantell and her staff about expanding into other programs like business administration and some other health-related programs. So we're very excited. The picture there is actually in our university center where we have Grand Valley State University now. They'll have a staff person in there. Actually, that staff person is funded half by Jackson College and half by Grand Valley State University. We're providing some work study staff there. So we're very, very excited about the team that made this happen, and we're looking forward to a long-term relationship so that Jacksonians never have to leave town. They can come to Jackson College and they get their bachelor's degree from a public institution that's the 4th largest in the state, high quality reputation, And even for those who are maybe from the perimeter areas that are already living on campus right now as part of their associate's degree achievement, if they pursue their baccalaureate degree, they can continue to stay in housing on campus.
And when you look at where we were during the pandemic, when Henry Ford was bringing in international temporary nurses
Yes.
to Jackson, because we could
Yeah.
essentially, the state didn't allow the colleges to educate the nurses fast enough or have enough nurses to get their degree. Those roadblocks, they're coming down.
They're getting better. I would say there's still a shortage of nurses. We still are importing in the state about 2,000 nurses from Canada every day. We're still looking to have more international nurses come into the state. Henry Ford Health System is looking to do that in a big way. But the use of travel nurses is actually going down. In fact, we had a Henry Ford Jackson Hospital board meeting on our campus today. And we're actually seeing that trend shifting now. But being able to provide these students in front of employers, great employers like Henry Ford Jackson Hospital, but without the student ever leaving town, that's just an amazing game changer, I think, for so many students in the area. And hopefully in the next year or so, we're going to see some great improvements with regard to more and more nursing staff levels getting to what they used to be. And as people get older, as we get older, Bart, there's going to be an increasing level of need there.
Well, it makes sense too when you look at all the ways that Jackson College and Henry Ford work together. You're actually on the board of
Yes.
Henry Ford Health, so the synergy gets even greater when we're able to provide those 4-year degrees right here.
Yeah, and we also have a Henry Ford Jackson Hospital clinic on our campus as well. So that provides an opportunity for our nursing and allied health students to have a clinical opportunity, as well as providing support for athletes who need to have a physical, or people getting the flu shot, or whatever the case might be.
All right, so 2 things. We've got the Reconnect open house tonight at 5:30 to 7:30.
5:30, absolutely.
And then right now, and all summer long, you can register for classes, fall
Absolutely,
classes.
yep.
And if you want, just pop out on the campus and check it
Yeah,
out.
come out and see your new community college.
Great to see you, Dan. Thanks for
Great
coming
to see
in.
you too. Thanks for the opportunity to be on campus. We appreciate all the work you do for our community.
Yeah, it's great to work with Jackson College. Coming this fall, some new exciting things for students interested in media that we'll be announcing soon, so stay tuned.
Thank you.
Jackson College President, Dr. Dan Phelan.